to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Sinead DeVries, and this is the daily show where we bring you the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Joining us this morning is Dennis Tzeng.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another brand new episode of Collider Movie Talk. Not only is it a brand new episode, it is the last Movie Talk for 2016. We will actually have more programming next week, but as far as Movie Talk is concerned, this is the last one. Who else is joining us, Sinead?
Also here is Perri Nemiroff.
Hi, guys. Happy to be here as always. Happy holidays to everyone. We have a great lineup today. I am so excited for Top of the Year.
And John Rocha.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Got a new scarf, new Ravenclaw scarf for this week. Yeah, Perry's request. Got the belt out, tag team champion. This is happening later today. Schmodown Spectacular. So much to talk about today, so I'm so happy to be on the show today.
And also Mark Reilly.
Hey, happy holidays, everyone. I'm excited to be here on Movie Talking. If you can go back to Rocha's shot real quick. I want to see that belt again. Yeah, that's the guy that's going to get thumped by my huge noggin of movie trivia knowledge later on the Schmodown Spectacular.
We're going to see, Reilly. We're going to see.
What's up, dude?
All right. Before we get into our best and worst movies of the year, there's some news coming out. Sinead, what do we got first?
Two familiar faces from the DCEU are back for Justice League. As part of an official announcement from Warner Brothers, Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor and Wonder Woman's Queen of the Amazon, Connie Nielsen, are officially joining the movie. They'll appear with our main Justice Leaguers, as well as alongside J.K. Simmons, Willem Dafoe, Jeremy Irons, Diane Lane, Amber Heard, and Kieran Hines. With this announcement also came a new EW image from Wonder Woman that shows Diana stealing the mystical Amazonian sword dubbed God Killer. EW also says that this is the very same weapon we saw her wield in Batman v Superman against Doomsday. Wonder Woman debuts in theaters on June 2nd, 2017, with Justice League hitting 5 months later on November 17th. Dennis, what do you think of the two new actors in Justice League and the new Wonder Woman image?
As far as the image is concerned, looks cool. I mean, it's cool that it's a sword that we already seen her wield in Batman vs. Superman. As far as the Justice League cast stuff, when I first got the link, Ray, our graphics guy, had sent us that link. I clicked on it, and that version had said that Henry Cavill was returning as Superman, which is definitely hasn't been confirmed yet, even though we all know he's coming back at some point in Justice League. But then I reread the actual Warner Brothers release, and it did not have that, so that has not been confirmed. As far as Lex Luthor, not a big surprise, considering what happens in Batman v Superman, especially if you've seen the deleted scene with Steppenwolf, who is the main villain for Justice League Part 1. And if he's part of it and he's connected to Lex Luthor, it's no surprise. Reilly, what do you think?
Well, first, the image, I love the image. It just kind of gives me an idea. We're going to see obviously it's an origin story for Wonder Woman for us, but also the origin story of how she gets that sword. So I love that. I love those little pieces that EW does. As far as Justice League, I was surprised that Connie Nielsen is going to be in there now. That was what I took away from it, and I'm glad to see that. And it's not really a surprise either, because we're going to connect all these movies. We're going to get introduced to her in Wonder Woman. So that's great. As far as Superman, though, when we were talking about that, Dennis, I'm now wondering if it's going to kind of end with a cliffhanger, almost like Luke Skywalker in Force Awakens. We're going to get a whole movie, and then Superman's coming back at the very end to set up Justice League 2. But come on, he's in it. They even brought him out on the Comic-Con panel this past summer, and they're like, yeah. At first they brought out Justice League, and then they went, and Superman, come on. And then Henry Cavill came out, so of course he's going to be in it. It's just how they're going to do it and how the story is going to dictate him coming back.
Perry?
Yeah, I'm curious to see how they do incorporate him. But at this point, the thing I'm most excited about on the DCEU lineup is Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Every single thing I see and hear about this movie gets me so hyped, and clearly I don't know the source material very well. So when you have a sword like this, I don't know the backstory, so I started, looking around. And actually, if you look at the .com write-up that Nick did, he calls back to a quote that the costume designer Michael Wilkinson gave for Justice League. And I mean, as a horror lover, it's probably going to be no surprise that I found this quote incredibly enticing, where he just envisioned the red coloring on Diana's costume as centuries of congealed blood from her victims. You pair that with the name of the sword, and this just sounds like the Wonder Woman movie I want. I love everything I'm hearing about this. I can't wait.
Rocha?
Yeah, this is interesting to me because it feels, it's got that little feeling of like, let's shove everything we can in there. But if you're going to shove a couple extra more actors into it, you pick 2 really good actors to shove into it. Yeah, I mean, Eisenberg's Luther, you can go in or out. I was completely out on that. So, but they're doubling down, and you got to respect the fact that they are going to pursue this out to the end. I love that Connie Nielsen is coming in though as Hippolyta, which I think is what she's going to be, right? Wonder Woman's mother,
Yep.
which has an incredibly rich history in the comics. So it'd be interesting because she doesn't leave the island. She almost never leaves the island. There was a run where she did and became Wonder Woman. It was a whole thing. But like usually she stays on the island. So it'll be interesting to see how much we will see of her and Wonder Woman in the film in Justice League. I think I'm with you. I think Superman will be minimal, if at all, minimal appearances in the film. I don't think he'll be the central point. I think they saw what happened with Batman versus Superman. They saw that people gravitated to Affleck's Batman more, so they made him the driving force of the Justice League movie, and that makes sense. And people reacted well to Wonder Woman as well. I've said this on the show numerous times. I am not a fan of Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I will say that. But everything else about the movie looks fantastic, looks really well done, looks really well designed, and I like what they're going with. And all the other actors that have been cast, Connie Nielsen being one of them, I'm such a fan of. Robin Wright is in it. You know, there's so many great actors in the film. So to me, I hold massive expectations for it, and we'll see what happens as it goes. But the image itself, it's the right image. She's a powerful goddess. She has the gold, the strap, all that's very strong. She's holding it. To me, I think it's the right image to send out to show strength of what you're doing with this character. So I think it's a
The
smart
color
move.
scheme of that image matches your belt quite well.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
it does.
It does. Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Actually, I'm with Reilly. I think they're gonna pull Luke Skywalker. They're
You think?
gonna
Oh, yeah.
they're gonna show Superman at the very end for like 15 seconds. He's gonna wear that black suit from
Yeah.
the comic book.
Yeah,
Where in
yeah.
Death of Superman, and when
Right.
he returns, like I don't know if they'll go with the long hair or not.
I
but
hope they do.
Yeah, the mullet, and then have him rise up, and then they'll cut, and then there you go.
Yeah,
And
that's
then-
like the button on the movie. That's
Yeah.
going to set up, and it's almost like a cliffhanger, and that kind of bums me out as a Superman fan, obviously. But if it's done well, like the Justice League's backs are against the wall.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the calling of Darkseid is going to be coming for the next movie, and then Superman appears, and it's like, oh, here we go. And then
Yeah,
it
I mean, I
ends.
know you're bummed out and not seeing him, but at the same time, look, if he's going to, supposedly die in Batman v Superman, you don't want him popping up in the first 10, 15 minutes,
Yeah.
right? Like, you got to feel at least some sort of loss for him.
But aren't you worried about this a little bit? Like, because I'm a fan of Man of Steel. I love Man of Steel.
Love Man of
but
Steel.
even in his sequel, he's kind of pushed to the side, and now they're making him dead. It's almost as if they're blaming Cavill for this whole thing, and it really bothers me because I like him as Superman. I think he has the right gravitas and the right angst that they were looking for to reimagine Superman as Clark and Clark Kent. I like what he does, so it bothers me a little bit that they're marginalizing him.
Well, if you watch the Batman v Superman extended
I do,
version,
yeah.
you see a lot of the Clark
Yes,
Kent stuff is
exactly.
put back into it, so it gives a little more emphasis on his character.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe they're waiting for Justice League Part 2. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's gonna be so many characters crammed into both of
That's
them.
true.
Yeah. Hopefully it works out. All right. What's next?
EW revealed a new image from the upcoming War for the Planet of the Apes that also names a character that is a direct link to the original series. The concept art shows a peaceful moment between one of the apes and a human character revealed to be named Nova. Nova is the same character from the original Planet of the Apes, played by Linda Harrison, opposite Charlton Heston. EW confirms the Nova in War for the Planet of the Apes is the same character, thus offering up the strongest piece of connective tissue between this new franchise and the original. Perri, your thoughts on the character of Nova appearing in War for the Planet of the Apes?
Surprise.
Oh, okay.
I love this. I love this piece of concept art. I think it's beautiful, and it's really exciting to start to see how this trilogy of movies, or more, we don't know how many movies there are going to be, are going to lead up to the original, because like this piece says, this is the first bit of information we're getting to show how these movies are going to connect to that. And I like the idea of now being able to, obviously we don't know any concrete details, but at least in my head, start to form some sort of structure in terms of like mapping everything out and seeing where it's all going to go. But with this character in this movie, that is probably one of the most exciting little plot points I've heard yet, where Caesar is at a point where he's completely lost faith in humanity, and then he has this young girl come into his life, and that's what's keeping him tied to any beliefs we knew he had in the prior two films. So that, at this point, is the bit of the movie that I think I'm most excited to see progress and fall apart, because I guess it's kind of inevitable.
Yeah.
Rocha?
Well, Nova's a fascinating character if you've seen the original series of movies that came out. And there was a lot of fan fiction that came and followed Nova's character and what that. In fact, James Cameron at one point was looking to do a possible movie based on her character as a spin-off type thing. You know, so it's a fascinating character because of her relation to the Charlton Heston character in the original movies, and then the sequels, the subsequent, how she goes deeper into the world, what she gets involved in. So to me, I think this is a great shout out to the original series of movies, and also a way to reimagine the Nova character, because Caesar's kind of been reimagined in this version. So we know that he has turned his back on the humans. What's going to make him come back? A smaller human is going to remind him of, you know, that this could be different. You know what I'm saying? Some of the fan fictions that they created had Nova having a child that was taken over by the apes as a kind of a reverse thing. Oh, sorry, where the child was raised with the apes as opposed to vice versa. So to me, what I like this concept and this idea, because we now have a connective tissue that we're going to follow as she gets older through the series of movies too. I think it's a smart move.
Rocha, I didn't know you're so deep in the Planet of the Apes
Yeah.
fan fiction lore.
I will tell you, my friend, I used to live with a guy, Edgar Landa, and he was a massive Planet of the Apes fan, and he bought every version there is, and because we lived together, I would have to come home and sit in the
did
living
he
room.
write stories for you to read as well?
Well, yeah, he'd be so into it, and then he'd tell me about this fan fiction. Read this. So, you know,
Okay.
I
nerds
also
are nerds.
can't believe how many times I've heard the term connective tissue in the past 24 hours.
Yes.
Because we covered it on news yesterday
Oh,
and said
right
it like
on.
10 times.
Yeah.
Riley.
Yeah, well, I like this connective tissue.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, that
And Jaws.
Yeah, and Jaws. I love Jaws. No, this. Speaking of the connective tissue, yes, I'm going to say it again. But that's what I really like about this story is that we kind of see where we're headed with this, because we've had those questions. I mean, how is this going to finally get us to the Planet of the Apes? Do we have another movie after this one? Will there be part 4? Are we going to see the destruction of the Statue of Liberty? Are we going to get that somewhere? I even like the shot just off of that point in the trailer where they're on the beach. That kind of reminded me of where they find the Statue of Liberty at the end of the original. So that's just an aside. But this I like. I like that it's also going to tie to Caesar's motivation and his character development, because he's lost it. And I wonder if maybe she's going to remind him, oh, yeah. Will, my boy Will that I lost, that raised me as a chimp into an adult. I just think it's a great character moment for Caesar that Andy Serkis, with that kind of motivation, is going to just get a great performance. It gives me a lot of heart in this that is going to be right up against the war against the humans. So it just makes me really excited.
Well, and she ends up becoming one of the leaders of the humans, right,
Yeah.
as we see. So this could be a progression. If Caesar gets killed off by a more violent, more angrier ape or gorilla that wants to come and take control, that's how we get the Planet of the Apes, and that's how she gets pushed back in the background, and maybe she leads a resistance as this progresses. So there's so much to play with here, and starting her young is smart, because you can jump ages as you wish.
Yeah, I like that it's kind of loosely connecting and also
Yeah.
making it seem like these are kind of like prequels to the originals. I actually had only seen the first one. I didn't see, I guess her character carries on throughout the rest of this series. And I like that they made, at least from this picture, it looks like she's a younger girl that now they can say, okay, later on she grew up and then had that relationship with Charlton Heston. And with what Perri was saying, her connection to Caesar, that's the best part of all of these Planet of the Apes movies, the new ones, where it is Caesar's connection to the human. He knows, like, humans aren't all bad. He knows that it isn't like like he has to kill them all, and that's where he has that internal struggle and external struggle with the rest of the apes. And I don't know. I don't know how far I want to see. I love this franchise, but I don't know how far I want to see this go in terms of. I like this in-between stage where they're learning, language and how they're carrying themselves to be human. But I don't know if I want them to fully go the route of the original series. Yeah. All right. Now we have a few news stories. Sinead?
20th Century Fox is serious about reminding fans of its Alien series that we're in for a bloody R-rated film. The studio tweeted another image from Alien Covenant, this one featuring some blood-covered walls of a medical room, signaling some kind of alien attack or chest-bursting escape. We'll have to wait to see what it all means when Alien Covenant hits theaters on May 19th, 2017. Michael Fassbender revealed on Josh Horowitz's podcast via a report from EW that he met for a role in Star Wars The Force Awakens. Fassbender offered no real specifics, nor did he reveal for what what role he was up for, only that he did have a conversation with Lucasfilm, but was too busy shooting another project at the time. And the first teaser trailer for James Gray's The Lost City of Z has been released. The movie is based on a true tale of British military man Percy Fawcett, played by Charlie Hunnam, who becomes an explorer in search of the lost city in the Amazon. The movie also stars Robert Pattinson and Tom Holland and will premiere on April 14th, 2017. Dennis, what stands out to you about the news?
I mean, obviously the thing that stands out the most is the Force Awakens scene with Michael Fassbender and like thinking about what character he could have played in the new trilogy. Definitely not Kylo Ren. I can't see a scene of Michael Fassbender and Harrison Ford up on that bridge and like, oh, you're my son. It doesn't work for me. Adam Driver fit nicely in that role. Maybe Hux. He could have been Hux because Hux didn't necessarily have to be a younger character. They just went that way, and I think Michael Fassbender kind of has that look and feel where he could have played a general or admiral or some sort of higher position in the First Order. What was that? The Lost City of Z trailer. It was a short 1 minute thing.
Yeah, 1 minute 15.
Yeah, it looked interesting. I think it debuts on Amazon first and then goes to theater.
Yeah.
And then the first story about Alien Covenant. It's great that all these new images, new stories, all these things coming out. They're doing a way better job promoting it than they did with Prometheus. What do you think, Perry?
Guess which story stands out to me most. You
I
guys saw
know.
the image.
I know.
Of course you know.
Alien,
Of all
come
people
on.
you
Come
know.
on, Nightmares.
That
Nightmares crew.
bloody image. Hell yeah. That's exactly what I want from my Alien Covenant. Similar to Wonder Woman, I think they're doing an excellent job promoting this movie. They've teased it. They've released a whole bunch of images. I don't know if they were official images. These images just look like, not stills, but like set shots. But everything I've seen from this movie is pretty much what I would have wanted from Alien Covenant, so I am counting down for that one. And then I loved the Lost City of Z trailer, more of a teaser, so minute-long teaser. But even in that minute, it creates such an incredible sense of atmosphere, and the score in it is so ominous, and even the sound design pops where you kind of really feel like you're stuck in that like hot, sweaty, gross situation right there with him. So I'm curious to see what that's like. And then The Force Awakens, cool. I guess it's a fun fact to know now. I guess I could have seen him. I wouldn't want any cast changes, but I guess I could have seen him playing Hux or maybe even a very different version of Poe. I don't know, but it's kind of just a fun fact at this point.
His time also would have been much better spent doing that instead of Assassin's Creed.
Really?
Rocha.
Yeah, listen, Alien Covenant, I can't wait for this. As a massive fan of the franchise, the images, what they're doing is really smart because they're kind of following the Disney playbook here. They're giving you homages to the original film, right? They're giving you these little scenes that make you feel like you're going back to a place, to safe hands, to warm hands, to what got you into the franchise to begin with. So I think it's really, really smart what they're doing. I'm a massive fan of this idea of Fassbender being in Force Awakens. I think he'd have been an awesome Snoke. If they didn't want to go a CGI route, he'd have been a fantastic Snoke. Just the power, the gravitas, and the way he could have leaned in, the way he does such a great job as Magneto. I could only imagine how much more he could have done with a non-CGI version of Snoke and what his power would have been with his voice and his body. And the Lost City of Z teaser trailer looks fantastic. I'm with Perry. It totally gets you in the mood of the movie. And we've seen these kinds of movies before. Fitzcarraldo. We see these kinds. Aguirre, Wrath of God. We see these movies where people go into these small islands or small tribes or villages and try to discover and all these kinds of things. But this one looks a little more better, well done, a little more better done, and it feels more interesting. And Hunan does a nice job. I think he deserves to have a role where he kind of breaks out a little bit because he's such a good actor. As those you've seen him in Sons of Anarchy and other films,
Like Pacific Rim.
Well, he's the best part of Pacific Rim, other than the Idris Elba speech. Certainly wasn't the Kai Judo stuff. But no, so I like this idea. And James Gray, I'm kind of a quiet fan of James Gray. So to see this coming out on Amazon first, it kind of reminds me a little bit like that Bone Tomahawk stuff kind of came out on Amazon first, was really interesting. So hopefully this will follow that kind of same path. These smaller movies that are actually really well done, and they build up a word of mouth.
Chris Cabin on .com also reviewed it at New York Film Festival, and he gave it an A.
Wow.
Like a full
Wow.
A.
Here
we
Yeah, I'm pumped to see it.
Right?
Yeah, no, I echo what you guys say. I love that trailer, and I guess they call it a teaser. It's a teaser trailer. I don't know what you call these things nowadays. But I got a Heart of Darkness vibe from it as well. A little
Nice.
Joseph Conrad. If you read that novel, that's that was based around Apocalypse Now even. But this gave me that vibe, and just the voiceover, the shots, the action. It just looks very, very interesting. As far as Force Awakens, sure, good little note, little addendum on Force Awakens. I think personally he was up for Poe. I think he just fits Poe perfectly and could see it. But I like your take on it. He would be a great Snoke.
Yeah,
I think he would be fantastic. But the main story here for me too is Alien Covenant. I mean, come on! I can't wait to see this thing. It started with the poster that was reminiscent of the original. And just the tagline, "Run." I mean, hell yeah! I can't wait for that thing. I hope those guys have their Nikes. They're gonna be. Everybody on the ship should have got a little gift bag of some champagne, some nuts, and some Nikes because
Dude,
they're gonna
it's PF
need it.
Flyers. Come on.
Yeah, this is. I can't wait. And from what we've heard, people have seen like 15, 20 minutes of the film that they showed with Logan as well, and they're saying this is a brutal alien. This is a return to the franchise. We're getting the connective tissue. There it is, Perry. Connective tissue. We're getting that.
Word of the day.
I see it in Aliens. They released an image of some Marines. It reminded me of Aliens. I see it with just the characters. We have Catherine Waterston's character who looks like Ripley. I hope they pull back on that just a bit. I don't need you donking me on the head with, hey, look, it's like a Ripley. No, we have one Ripley.
Well, I hope it's not that whole rumor of her being related.
I hate that.
yeah.
I hate that.
Well,
it's like the Star Wars universe. It just shrinks the universe where you're like, does everybody have to be, related in some way? Yeah. I hope so too. I'm with you. I hope she's just a badass. Yeah. And that's it. So, but this is exciting. Blood, aliens, chest bursters, Marines. I'm in.
It's how bulletproof the franchise is, isn't it? Like people were out on 3, people were out on 4. A lot of people didn't like Prometheus, but still 1 and 2 hold such a strong place in people's heart. And these are almost 2 decades old. These films, and especially Alien, which is almost 4 decades old. It's just has that kind of thing that you just don't want to let go. There's very good stuff here. You want to see them do well with it.
Yeah, and also with Ridley Scott having done The Martian, for me, my confidence is much higher now than it was. What was it, like a year and a half ago? I was like, oh man. Gods and Kings and what was the Counselor
or something like that. Yeah, that was terrible.
All right, now we're on to our weekly Friday segment brought to you by our friends at AMC Theaters. We are doing box office predictions. This is where we try and predict. This is Perry's favorite game. Predict the top 5 movies of the weekend. So Perry will go last because she always thinks that we're going to steal her picks.
We should just rename this on the sidebar.
The
Perry's favorite game.
Yeah.
Reilly, what's your top 5? And then give us a number for Rogue One.
Oh, a number for Rogue One. Good Lord. I think it's number 1 for me. Rogue One's going to be number 1. It's kind of obvious. I think it's going to hit around maybe 70, 75 million. I think that's where it's going to go or land. I could even see it going higher. We got Christmas coming up. I know I'm going to go see it on Christmas Day. I did it last year with Force Awakens with my family. I think a lot of this box office is going to be family based. So I think Rogue One is going to be number 1 with about 75 million. I don't know where the other's going to land, but I have Sing at number 2 because it's a new animated feature. It is Christmas, so if you can't get into Rogue One because it's sold out and you're with your family, they're going to go see Sing. Number 3, I know it's getting horrible reviews, but Assassin's Creed. I think that there is an audience. I think there are fans out there that want to see this, and so they're going to push it to number 3, just barely above Passengers, which is at number 4. Because of the draw for Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt, I think there's some interest there. I know my mom wants to see Passengers because of those guys, and I'm like, no, I'm not seeing that. We're going to see Rogue One. And then number 5, I have Moana. Again, animated, family. It's doing so well. I think it's going to stay in the top 5 because of the Christmas weekend. It's a family weekend. That's my top 5.
Rocha?
Yeah, I'm with Reilly. Rogue One, obviously number 1. I think it's actually going to be higher because the word of mouth has been so fantastic for this film. I think it's going to be like 96 million. Wow. That's what I think it's. Yeah, I think because of Christmas.
So you're saying the drop off is going to be very minimal.
Yeah, very minimal. I think the Christmas. I think people want to go. And once again, this is one of those franchises that you take your kids to. It's generational, multi-generational. And so to me, I think it's going to keep going. And there's so many ways to see it. And there's so many versions out there. I think people are going to go en masse to see this film over Christmas more than once. Yeah. Sing, I think, is going to be number 2. That's getting decent buzz. Not great, but decent buzz. Enough for people to go, like, let me put my kids in the theater so I don't have to talk to them for a couple hours. Like, it's great. Again, it's reality. It's reality. So that makes sense to me. I think Passengers will be 3, even though what's coming out about Passengers, about what the real story of the movie is, what the real plot of the movie is really turning off a lot of people from what I'm reading online and on social media, because it's leaking out what the plot of that film is, and it's not what you think it is. It's not what you see in the trailer. So that's what I think a lot of people are rebelling against. I think Moana will be 4. A lot of people love this film. Once again, Christmas, like Reilly was saying, I absolutely agree with him. More people coming over. And I think Assassin's Creed will be 5 because the word of mouth for Assassin's Creed is so bad. It is so bad. And already coming out.
Deservedly so.
Yeah, exactly. And already all over the place, people are destroying this film. It's already battling an uphill battle as a video game movie. If the fact that people are already saying it's terrible, people are not going to go see it.
Okay.
Like Collateral Beauty, it was like 9%.
Yeah, that's definitely not going in the top 5 this week. Number 1, obviously, Rogue One. I'm not going to go super high. I'm just going to go probably like 73 million. I think, look, I love Rogue One. I think it's actually a better movie than Force Awakens, but The Force Awakens has more rewatchability in terms of people getting, it's more lighthearted, more adventure, more humor, more fun. So I feel like you're going to get more of that repeat viewing from people, especially from the casual movie-going audience. We all know that we all here are going to go watch Rogue One multiple times. Me and Perri saw it again yesterday at the AMC Prime.
And it was a pretty packed theater in the end.
Yeah. So and I know I'm going to see it again. So for more of the hardcore Star Wars fans, I think the repeat viewings, but not the casual fans. 2, Sing, I think it's going to fill that void we haven't had since I think Moana was the last animated film, so it's been a few weeks now. I think that will fill that void, going to get the kids in there. 3, I have Passengers purely just on Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt being in there. Why him? I think it's getting decent buzz. Like at first, when people first heard about it, they this looks kind of stupid, but then it's getting some good buzz. And 5, I have Assassin's Creed. I think it should have been higher if it was a better movie, even if it was just okay. But we put up a non-spoilers review and a spoilers review, and people were like, "Oh yeah, well now." A lot of people are on the fence about it, and then people are hearing bad things, so they're not going to go see it. Perri?
All right. Obviously, Rogue One, number 1. And I think I'm leaning towards 75 million at this point, which is not as high as your number, Rocha. But if it does get 75, that's still a very minimal week 1 to 2 to drop, especially for a movie that made so much money in week 1. Sing, number 2. I did see Sing. It's delightful. It's not the greatest animated movie I've ever seen, but I think it is perfectly fine for parents and kids where they can enjoy the music. It's got a good message. I think I'm going to give Assassin's Creed the benefit of the doubt and say it's going to come in at number 3 because even though the reviews aren't great, I most certainly did not like it very much. I think there's still enough, there's a pretty big fan base that loves the games, and I think all those people, no matter what, are going to come out and see that movie this week. Passengers, however, I don't know. Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence have some pull, but I don't know if they have enough to sell this movie, and they are completely mismarketing this thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
As someone who has now seen it, and as someone who's getting a lot of crap for spoiling it, which I still say my plot point is not a spoiler because it's what the movie is about, they are misrepresenting what that movie is about, and it's hurting it, not in a good way. I don't mean in a way where people are going to go in and be like, shoot, you didn't meet my expectations. This isn't the movie I want. I mean, they had a better movie, and they're marketing a different one. It's weird. Number 5, I'm going, why him? I think it had a solid Thursday night, comparable to Office Christmas Party, which made 16 or 17 million. So, I don't know if it's going to go that high, but I still think it could come close. I think it's going to go high enough to beat Moana, but come in just behind Passengers.
All right. Okay, guys, that's our box office predictions. Now we're on to our top movies of 2016. This list that we have here, these are our individual lists. We'll discuss them. This is not Collider Videos list. This isn't like compiled from all the guys here or anyone from the website. This is our personal lists. All right, let's start with Reilly. We're going to do top 3, and then some of it, we're obviously going to have some overlap here. So, Reilly, why don't you start off with your number 3 movie of the year?
My number 3 movie, this was hard. I mean, I'll first start out, God, I thought about this a lot, but I really wanted to focus on some movies that I think a lot of people have seen, obviously, but that didn't get the huge box office numbers. And everybody's talking a lot of blockbusters, but I'm going The Nice Guys, my number 3 movie of the year.
Nice choice.
Shane Black's return. He is just one of my favorite directors of all time. And this movie, I watched it again last night for the 3rd time and was laughing so hard. the detective picture in there, the family drama between Ryan Gosling and his daughter, his new relationship with Russell Crowe. The laughs in that. I noticed again when Russell Crowe in the beginning, when he decides to break Ryan Gosling's arm, Ryan Gosling screams like he's a singer from a mariachi band. It is so funny. And then just how it just continues forward. It's just amazing. I love that movie so much. I can't give it enough credit. That's my number 3.
Okay. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah,
it's one of my favorites. It's not my top 3, but it was actually one of my
Yeah.
favorite movies of the year. Definitely underappreciated. Didn't do that well at the box office, and Ryan Gosling is having quite a year for himself.
Yeah, it's definitely in that Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which
Yeah.
is what he did before, Shane Black did before. Those type of genre films that he does, they are precious jewels in a movie lovers collection because they're so well written and they're so well directed and the acting is fantastic and it's seamless, like really seamless how they connect with each other and the chemistry and the build and the arcs through the movie. That's what you enjoy about it. And Nice Guys is so good. I couldn't put it in my top 3, but it is certainly deserving to have the conversation about it because it is so well done and it evokes that period and doesn't pull any punches, which is with the daughter, which is really shocking when you're watching the movie, but it works because of the world Shane creates from the beginning. And you're right, Ryan's ability to play status throughout all these movies that he's in is really something that people don't laud him enough for. He can play cool, smooth guy, and he can play whiny little,
And does it
B-word.
well.
Yeah,
Does it
yeah,
well.
he does it well. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish this movie made a little more money and had a little more time in the spotlight than it actually did. And you brought up the daughter. I think her name's Angourie Rice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
She's great.
she is one to keep an eye out for. I thought she was fantastic in the film. And like you guys all said, the performances are great. Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling bounce off each other so damn well.
Yeah.
This is the kind of movie where if they happen to announce a sequel, which I don't think is possible at this point, or even put the two of them in like a TV series together,
Oh my gosh.
I wanted to spend more
Yeah.
time with the two of them. This movie could have had an extra hour tacked onto it, and I probably would have enjoyed every minute of it.
True Detective season 3.
There you
my
go.
God.
Right?
you
I
go.
just blew your mind, internet. That's right.
Anything is better than that
Yeah,
Matt
right.
train wreck of season 2.
Yeah.
All right, what's your number 2, Reilly?
My number 2 is, I'm sticking with Gosling here, La La Land. I know a lot of people, it's probably going to be a number 1 around the critics list, not necessarily here, but La La Land shocked me at how wonderful it is. I finally saw it, and I was in. This is a love letter to the old musicals of Hollywood. It even has that play on the word Los Angeles in La La Land. Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling, I mean, they just kind of carry over their chemistry from Crazy Stupid Love into this movie and then expand on it. It is beautiful. It is heart-wrenching. I mean, the ending wrecked me. It just wrecked me in such a beautiful way. And the director, Damien, how do you, Chazelle?
Chazelle.
Thank you. Damien Chazelle is becoming one of my favorite directors of all time. Whiplash was my number 1 movie when it was released that year. This almost made number 1. I had to just argue with myself to put it at number 1 or number 2, even in top 10 lists if I were to talk about it. But Ryan Gosling is now one of my favorite actors all time. I cannot wait for Blade Runner 2049. He's just killing it across the board. So that's
Okay.
my number 2.
We're going to hold off on your number 1 because
Yep.
you and Rocha share the same number 1.
Okay.
Rocha,
I
think
what
we
was
do.
your number 3?
My number 3 was Captain America: Civil War.
Nice.
I think it's just one of these films that really people had these high expectations and high worries and fears how they were going to make all these superheroes work. We haven't seen something like this work in a superhero movie ever. And so to see it just come and knock it out of the park right off the bat was really surprising and enjoyable. And the way they introduced Spider-Man, the way they did the interaction between Tony Stark and Steve Rogers, which was so believable. Their anger, their battles between each other, the way they set it up. They introduced Black Panther. Then you have the fight at the airport. And then you have all this stuff that happens afterwards. And then they have the twist at the end of what you find out, what you've been seeing the whole time with Bucky. And it really does challenge you as a viewer, as you're watching the film. Who do I side with? Do I side with the guy who's protecting his best friend at the expense of so many other people? Or do I side with the person who's like, no, one person cannot outweigh other people. I'm sorry, just because you love him doesn't mean he deserves more than anyone else. So it does ask a lot of you. It's not just a popcorn superhero film. There's more going on there. There's deeper stuff going on. Plus that technology that Robert Downey Jr. younger, we see that, we just saw that in Rogue One. If you haven't seen Rogue One, you'll see that there. It's just this technology. So there's so much in this film that is so well done and so well constructed that it has to be lauded as one of the best films of the year.
Yeah, it's not in my top 3, but it's definitely in my top 10 of the year. I love that movie, and you're right. It's more than just a popcorn film. There are kind of philosophical debates to be had, whether siding with Tony Stark or Captain America. Perri, what do
Civil
you
War
think?
actually just fell off my top 10, but it's up there. I was pretty surprised by how layered it was, and it does feel like I hate this term, but like a popcorn superhero flick. But at the same time, there's so much more to it. It delivers on both ends, and I think that's what makes it like a really, really special movie. And that airport scene, it's one of my favorite things of the entire year. It's the crazy thing is, because we had discussed this on Mailbag, and I put it in our third act discussion, and I rewatched it, and it's crazy because it's not even the third act climax of the movie. There's more after, and even though you have that incredible scene coming towards the end of the second, there's something else that comes after that means so much, and I love this movie.
Yeah, the battle that they have is so powerful. Even though they're superheroes, it still feels like a hand-to-hand fisticuffs in the back of an alley somewhere. And also the stuff with Scarlet Witch and with Vision, where they're trying to keep her. There's like that kind of thing, like why are you controlling a woman? Why? Like there's so much subtext going on through the whole film that I think it's just the Russo brothers did just a great
Even
job.
on the technical level, that airport sequence is crazy. Because I remember when I first saw the shots of just the still images of the airport scene, and I'm like, oh, it looks so boring. They're gonna fight in a parking lot. So stupid. Wrong. That thing was amazing.
Wrong.
Yeah, so well done. Just being able to take that many characters and put them together. Reilly, what do you think?
Yeah, this Civil War is one of the best superhero movies all time. I mean, come on, it is. It did fall off my top 10, though. I mean, it was up there for a while, but it's just because I've seen so many other movies that deserve a mention. But because everybody's going to go see Civil War.
Yeah.
I don't need to mention it. You guys are going to love it. But I did. I loved it. Everything you guys said. The end fight between Tony and Steve and Bucky is so emotionally charged that it does feel like a fist fight in the backyard or an alleyway. But then I literally thought that Bucky was going in for a kill shot, or Steve, a number of times against Tony Stark, and then drawing back, just pulling the punches, and even then going to the airport scene where I think I can't remember who told Scarlet Witch that, or Black Widow, you're pulling your punches, or somebody was pulling punches.
Yeah.
I can't remember who it was, but that you're fighting friend on friend and comrade. It's just, it was so powerful, and then the effects and everything, the humor. The Russo brothers are they're knocking out of the park, and it just makes me go, okay, Avengers Infinity War is going to be off the charts now. I can't wait.
All right. What's your number 2, Rocha?
Hell or High Water.
Okay.
So we holding off on that one? Or
No, talk a little bit about it, but then,
This is such a great film. I mean, just such the dialogue, the way it's this small film masquerading. I mean, it's this large film masquerading as a small film. There's so much that they talk about and explore about what's going on in our society, and especially post-election, you might have a window into why what happened. This idea of the frustration of the economy, frustration of jobs, frustration of what to do, this desperation, and then you have this brother, which we've seen many times, this cliche bad brother, good brother thing, but there's nuances to that we haven't seen before in other films. There's these situations where you see people actually having issues with law, which you would think they wouldn't have. You have a great characterization by Jeff Bridges again. Ben Foster, who is one of the unsung heroes of any film he's ever in, aside from X-Men Last Stand. He is so good. And like in 3:10 to Yuma, he is chilling. He is just as chilling in this film. And then I'm in it as well with Jeff Bridges as his partner. I mean, what happens to me.
No, let's not spoil what happens to you in that movie.
No, but it's so great, all that stuff. But the script is so tight. I would put it as a companion piece to Nice Guys. You could do a double bill of those two and really understand that cinema is still in the right place. There's still great movies that are coming out that don't have to have multi-million-dollar budgets. You can still do fantastic cinematic pieces that don't need to be fantastical technical achievements. They're just simple stories that have these nuance and layers on them. And so Hell or High Water does such a great job of that.
Now, Rocha and Reilly, you guys share the same number 1. You guys want to talk about that?
Go ahead.
Yeah, Arrival.
Yes.
Number 1 movie of the year. Denis Villeneuve is my favorite director working today. He really is. And Arrival is such a beautiful movie in every way, shape, and form. The performances, the music, the direction, the cinematography. This This movie, it was like they were in a committee at the studio and they went, you know what movie? We want to really please Reilly, so we're going to make this movie. Because it has
isn't that how all the studios are, right? They're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh,
They
Reilly.
always-
They
They send me
check off.
emails all the
Yeah.
time, you know?
WWRD, what would Reilly do?
Yeah, what would Reilly do? I mean, but just there was a point in the movie, and it was towards the end when we kind of get what's going on. And I have never been so overwhelmed with emotion, and that's what I want in my movie theater going experience, where I just went, oh my, and tears in my eyes. I was listening to everything. And I walked out of there affected. I couldn't talk. And so that's the sign of a good movie, and I keep going back to it. I've seen it twice now. I went again. It's just, I can't speak highly enough of this movie. And Denis Villeneuve, who's going to take over the Blade Runner franchise, he's going to knock it out of the park. I can't wait for this guy to just keep directing. Just for forever. Please live forever. He's just amazing. So my
Reilly,
number
you're
one.
gonna have to fight Adam over there for who's the biggest fan of Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah, we're together on this, my friend.
It's a triple
I love
threat
it.
match.
Yeah,
I'll be
okay.
honest with you. It's a triple threat match.
Okay,
Let's get it
Rocha,
on.
Rocha,
I mean,
what are your thoughts
for
on
God's
Arrival?
sakes, every time I hear his name, I get chills up and down my body. He's such a fantastic,
There it
such a
is.
This turned
fantastic.
the
director.
Denis Villeneuve
That's
fan
right.
club.
That's right.
Now
That's right.
you three, you three.
Interesting.
El Presidente. No, he's so. What he does is he gets inside you and he shakes you from the core. Like he gets inside you, your heart and your soul, and he messes with you, and you come out of it completely different. You watch his movies and you're like, "What did I just watch?" I've seen it 3 times, Rouse.
Yeah.
Like I've gone back. Like if I have 3 or 4 hours in the afternoon, I have anything going on, I will sneak off into the theater and watch it on a matinee for like $8-10 somewhere up in the valley because it's just so worth it
I
to
would too.
experience that film. And to me, it is the transition of Amy Adams into powerful older superstar. She's like the Meryl. She's going to become like a Meryl Streep type of actress. I think this is a film that really announced her to show how many more layers she has as she's getting older, as she's becoming more of a woman. She's had kids. She's married. Like there's all this stuff, and as a woman, she's coming into her power, and you watch it on screen in the movies that she's doing. You know, Emma Stone is just behind Amy, just a couple of years. So we're going
Yeah.
to see Emma get to that point as well. And this is fantastic. And Renner is the greatest second bill guy you can have in any film. He is the Scottie Pippen to any Michael Jordan you put at the top because he doesn't take attention away from anybody. He does his work. He supports and he pushes forward. And you see all that in this film and the twists and the turns and the way Villeneuve, the way that, I think Deakins did this. Who did this?
No,
No,
Bradford
no.
Young.
Oh, Bradford Young. I'm sorry, Bradford Young. Right, who's doing the Han Solo
Han
film?
Solo.
Right.
He did
Brad-
Selma and
Yeah, Selma. Bradford does a fantastic job of the cinematography in this film and really gets you to explore what they're trying to go up against and what they're trying to show you about time jump and what that all means.
Yeah. Didn't make my top 3, but it's definitely in my top 10. I think it's a fantastic movie that appears to be this big global scale story, but it's actually a more personal drama about Amy Adams' character.
It's in my top 10 as well, not my top 3, obviously, but that's one of the things that I appreciated about it most is that it's a situation with global ramifications, but it is anchored by her personal journey with the situation. And normally, movies tend to frustrate me when I can't, not literally, but like list the facts and really wrap my head around whatever the issue is or the revelation is. And where this movie leaves off, it's like mind melding, and I can't quite understand it, but at the same time, I'm so moved by it, and that's such a unique feeling to feel like confused, moved, and satisfied all at the same time.
I went to see it with Perri, and I couldn't cry because I was with Perri. She barely knows me. I didn't want to. So the other 2 times I've gone, tears at the end.
You're by yourself.
Yeah, I could let out what I couldn't let out in front of
God,
Perri.
I wish you would have cried
I had
when
to
we
be a
saw
man.
it so I could make fun of you.
The outlaw doesn't cry, damn it. The outlaw don't cry.
You
Except
can
alone.
cry in Arrival.
Except alone. You cry alone.
Holding my belt. Yes, go.
All right, now we're going to move on to my list. At number 3, I have La La Land. I'll talk a little bit about that, but I know someone else has it higher up on their list.
I wonder who.
Yeah, I wonder who. I love it. It's like a love letter to old Hollywood, but at the same time, it kind of has almost a cautionary tale about the harsh realities of the Hollywood industry and the lifestyle
Yes.
that you. Because the first half of the movie, I'm not going to spoil it, but the first half is fantastic. But if the movie had continued on that route, it would have been too much. It would have been like, okay, I got enough of this. It's a little too. But Damien Chazelle, who directed it, purposely had it so that you get that feeling of old Hollywood and that kind of that why people fall in love with the entertainment industry, and then the second half you kind of get brought into what actually happened. It's not like anything like mean-spirited. It's just things that just happen while you're trying to pursue your dreams.
Would you say it's like Goodfellas? Like the first part of Goodfellas is a fantasy about gangsters, and then
Yeah,
like the reality
kind
hits
of,
that last
kind
half
of.
hour.
I mean, and obviously in a much different style.
Well,
but
sure,
yeah,
sure,
yeah.
but
That
yeah.
definitely has a similar
Okay.
first half, second half to it. And then my second favorite movie, which you guys didn't have on any of your lists, but I don't know how you guys feel about it, but is Sing Street, which is
Oh,
actually
yeah.
which
Mhm.
you actually
So
can
good.
see on Netflix right now. Fantastic story. It's coming of age story. It seems like a lot of these like Arrival or some of these things seem like simple stories. It's about this kid that is trying to impress this girl, but it's really, to me, much more about artists and how they're influenced by other artists, and also the situations and personal things that they're going through in their life, and they kind of get mixed together. It's directed by what's his name, John Carney, who had did Once, which is another fantastic film. So that was my number 2.
Sing Street it almost broke my heart that we were doing top 3, because Sing Street is my number 4, and I happen to have just watched it again on the plane on the way back from New York. The songs in that are just so incredibly catchy. I could listen to them over and over. All the kids in it are fantastic.
Yes.
I can't get enough of this movie. I can't get enough of that soundtrack.
Drive It Like You Stole It should have been the summer song of the year this year, and I don't know why it didn't break through. It is a fantastic. It immediately went on my cardio workout mix. The songs just when you know that one is so happy and powerful, and it's so good.
Yeah, Reilly, have you seen it yet?
I haven't seen it.
It's on Netflix.
I
Queue
know.
it up.
I know. I missed this one, and I need to see it. And I even toyed with watching it last night, but I had already sent my top 3 out, and the graphics were made. So
Yes.
I
When
couldn't.
the graphics are made.
And I'm like, oh,
that's
I can't
it.
change it
That's
up. I can't change it up.
Ray,
But I-
Ray puts down his foot. He's like, no,
yep.
can't change it.
It's a done deal.
Yeah.
Set in stone.
I'll just watch Nice Guys again.
No, but I have to watch it, and Hell or High Water for that matter, because I am going to. Yeah, I know. I'm busy, Rocha. I have some producing to do
Yes,
sometimes.
I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, but I have to catch up on all these because year's not over. That's
Yeah.
what my vacation is all about. These movies, and I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 movies that I still need to see that, before the Oscars, and I decide. One is Hacksaw Ridge, I haven't seen yet, and Moonlight is another one. So who knows if they would pop into my top 3. But speaking of Hell or High Water, that is my number 1 movie
Yes.
of the
Nice.
year. It's a modern Western mixed with a crime drama. Rocha already spoke about the relationship. It could have been something very cliche, but because of Chris Pine's performance and obviously Ben Foster is amazing. He's amazing in almost everything he's in. Chris Pine was the surprise for me. He had a very understated performance, and it's something we haven't seen. We've seen him play kind of the cocky characters in Star Trek Beyond, and we've seen him play these other characters in this one. There's 2 scenes in this movie that I'm not going to spoil them, but one that are some of my favorite of the year. One is Ben Foster and a machine gun. Oh yeah. That's all and the second one is there's a discussion between Jeff Bridges' character and Chris Pine's character near the end of the movie. That's just like. The dialogue in it is fantastic. So yeah, it's definitely a movie that did you check it out, Perri?
I did.
Okay.
I was a little late to the game because I feel like everyone in the office had seen it, and then I finally got my award screeners in the mail, and I sat down and I watched it, and since I might have watched it 3 times.
Okay.
It's fantastic. I think Jeff Bridges is my favorite part of the movie, and there's so many quotable lines of dialogue too. I have like a whole running list this year of memorable lines that I plan on repeating as much as possible, and that movie has quite a few slots on that list.
I have a feeling it's probably going to enter my top 3, honestly, because of, me and Dennis, we love Goodfellas.
Yeah.
Your taste in movies, Perri, we share a brain sometimes. Rocha, your taste in movies, obviously, with our number 1.
Yeah.
So, this is probably going to land somewhere there. I can't wait to see it.
And you'll love Sing Street too. You're
Yeah.
gonna
Oh,
love
Sing Street, I know, is my
You're gonna love it.
Once is a
Oh, yeah.
phenomenal
Yeah.
movie. So that's been on my list, and I just
I haven't seen La La Land yet, and I'm scared to
Oh,
see it. To be
wow.
honest with you, I'm scared to see it
Oh,
because
get ready.
because I've been fighting for 15 years as an actor out here in LA. So to see this is going to show it. I'm really
Yeah,
worried.
it shows the struggles of
Yeah.
working in the industry and how it strains your relationships.
especially
Yeah.
for 2 people in a similar industry. I know he's in jazz and she's in
Yeah,
acting.
but just
but
entertainment.
their
you know.
dreams, chasing their career aspirations.
Yeah.
I mean that was at the center of my problem with my ex. So
Yeah.
I get it. That's where it really hit.
Maybe after Christmas.
All right, Perry, what are your top 3 movies? of film?
Alrighty. First off, these are my top 3 movies.
Yeah, girl.
This is all our
These
top.
are well. I'm just saying because every time you make a top 10 or whatever list, everyone well that's not the most well-made movie of the. This is a very personal list to me, and when I describe why I love these movies, you'll probably understand that even more. But
Nice.
my number 3 of the year, I've been talking about it all year, is my number 1, and it got knocked down 2 slots on the chart recently. It's Green Room.
Yes.
I've watched Green Room really more times than I can count since it debuted at TIFF last year and really just blew my mind in that midnight screening. This is the perfect kind of movie to see in a communal experience because there's so many just classic horror elements to it where it really speaks to my sensibilities in terms of me being a horror lover and what kind of horror I like, which, as sick and twisted as it sounds, it is falling in love with a group of characters and then watching them get picked off violently one by one.
Tells you a lot about Perry.
Yeah, I like slasher movies, and this movie is that, but it's also so much more than that because it's not just a movie about the perspective of the good guys trying to get out. Every single person in this scenario has some sort of agenda going, and it's more so about all of their agendas colliding, which makes it more than just your average slasher movie, and that is why that movie excites me so much. Jeremy Saulnier is someone to keep an eye out for. He has such an impeccable eye. Really, every shot in this movie is beautiful. Every camera movement in this is warranted for one reason or another. And just that green hue, it sounds tacky considering it's Green Room, but like just this greenish yellow color that bathes every image in this movie, it works. It works exceptionally well. The whole cast is fantastic. Obviously, Anton Yelchin is just a brilliant lead in this, and I'm so crushed still to this day that he's not with us, but thankful that we have this movie from him, an incredible body of work. Imogen Poots just nails it in her role.
yeah.
Really, the entire ensemble, Patrick Stewart, of course, and the dogs. You
Oh,
guys know
God.
I'm sensitive about dogs. This movie uses dogs well, so it gets a lot of
Little
credit
too
in my
well.
book for that.
Yeah.
All right, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Rogue One.
Whoa.
I've
nice.
seen it now
Let's do
3
it.
times. My last time was in the beautiful Prime yesterday with Dennis, and really, you just need the best possible viewing experience when you go and see that movie. It looked so crisp. The audio was just perfection. But this was the movie that I wanted. Not to repeat the same junk we've been hearing for months on end, but we all know the problem that came about with the reshoot rumors.
Yep.
And I started to worry, is this not going to be the different war movie that I wanted it to be? Whatever they changed with the reshoots and things and edits going from script to production to screen, I don't really care because this is the movie that I want. It feels like a Gareth Edwards movie. It feels like a war movie, and it also feels like a Star Wars movie. And the way they connect this movie to A New Hope, I still can't believe it. I can't believe the last 10 minutes of this movie. I don't know if the excitement I get from one particular scene towards the end of the movie will ever fade. I think every time I rewatch this movie, I'm going to get just as pumped when I see that part. I love Felicity Jones. And I didn't appreciate her performance as much as I do now the first time I saw the movie. The more I see the movie, the more I realize she's doing exactly what she needed to be doing. She needed to be just in her own head and a little more subtle, yet she's just driven enough. She has so much chemistry with Cassie, and it's incredible. K2SO, another incredible droid to add to my collection of favorite droids, because that seems to be what every single one of these Star Wars movies is going to do now, and I love it. But this was obviously a pretty big Star Wars year for me. I went from being a big fan to like an obsessive fanatic. And this movie just delivered so big where all of the time I've spent looking at other pieces of the Star Wars canon this year, it kind of just justified that obsession and said, I'm going to reward you with this movie for exploring everything and appreciating everything. And it just makes me so happy.
Yeah, Rogue One is in my top 10 of the year. It just didn't make my top 3. And
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to be seeing it over and over again.
Yeah, Rogue One's in my top 10. So is Green Room. Green Room is, I can't wait for our upcoming Nightmares episode where we're going to talk about some of these genre picks. But yeah, so I love it. Rogue One, I love.
What's your number one? Oh, well, actually, we know what your
Surprise,
number
surprise. My number one is La La Land.
Yay.
And this movie, I walked out of my very first screening of this movie saying, this is going to be my number one movie of the year. I know I haven't seen a whole bunch others. There is no chance something is going to top this. And it stayed true. I saw this a couple times. I saw a whole bunch of other great movies after this. This is a very, very special film. I mean, that opening sequence just like gets you so hyped and ready for like a fun, great story. And the way that it goes from, you know, big, crazy, colorful musical numbers to a really deep, emotional love story. And especially as someone who made the move from New York to LA for career reasons this year, so many little things in this movie rung true to me. And I'm not going to spoil the ending, but I love the bittersweet quality of this movie where, you know, you might go into something and, you know, fight for it as hard as you can and come out with something good, but it might not be exactly what you wanted. And that's just a really interesting dilemma to me that I think everybody in the world, no matter what you're trying to do or accomplish, can benefit from experiencing in a movie.
Rocha's going to cry even before he sees the movie. He's
Yeah.
just hearing about the movie.
You have
is getting
no
him-
idea.
Yeah.
You're going to be crying alone again, Rocha, with this one.
So I knew it. As soon as I saw the first trailer, I was like, "Oh no,
Yeah.
this one's gonna destroy me."
Yeah,
You can already tell, right? When you watch enough
Just
movies,
take,
you know.
just take career, relationship, and just mash it together.
No,
you know?
Yeah.
I can't handle it right
Perry
now.
was just describing that end, and beautifully, I
Yeah.
might add. And it brought me back to that ending, and I was, yeah.
I'm not
All
strong
right,
enough
so
yet.
that's our top movies of the year. Actually, Sinead and Wendy, what are your favorite movies of this year?
Are you coming over here?
I am.
Yay.
Hey.
Join me. Yay, friends.
That's a great shot.
My camera's not working.
Oh, no worries. Here,
You
I'll
go
let
first.
you. Okay. All right. Okay. All right, you guys. No. Just
Oh my God. Bye.
All right. Well, I didn't honestly see a lot of movies this year, and so like hearing you guys talk about all these, there's been some on my list that I just can't wait to see. My top one being La La Land, because I've heard such great things about it. So I can't really know for sure if I'm making the right choice, but just totally personal.
There's no right choice. It's your choice.
I know, but I just have to say that, because the YouTubers, they'll get on ya.
I see your chat room.
I'm looking at the wrong camera, aren't I? Hey guys, what's up? So, just personally, the movie I had the most fun with was Rogue One. And
Yeah.
Hey.
for me, 2016 was such a crazy year in terms of me not being a fan of Star Wars. In terms like I had obviously heard you guys talk about it and seen bits and pieces. I saw The Force Awakens and I was like, damn, this is really good. I watched every single Star Wars movie this year at least twice. I watched A New Hope again like 2 nights ago for the 3rd time this month. It's ridiculous. I cannot get enough Star Wars. And when I saw Rogue One, I was like, okay, either this is going to be so fantastic and it's going to validate the reason why I love this as a whole, like this whole franchise, or it's just going to be like a little fun movie that I'm going to enjoy. And I left the theater so excited to immediately see it again. So I'm going to go see it again this weekend, and I honestly cannot wait.
I can't believe we have turned Sinead into
You
a Star
finally
Wars
did it.
nerd. Like,
This-
mission accomplished.
Yeah, check that list. Man, that's great.
Yeah. Wendy?
Can I still do my top 3? I won't go really far into it because I know we're running low on time. Number 3 for me was Kubo and 2 Strings.
Oh,
Number
yeah.
2,
That was in my top 10.
yeah. Number 2, Hell or High Water. So
Nice.
good,
Yeah.
and nobody wanted to see it with me. I went to
don't
the
know why.
theater, sat by myself with
I
my
would've gone
popcorn.
again.
But it's great. And then number 1 for the same
So
reason as
sad.
Sinead, Rogue One.
Nice.
All right, cool. Now we're moving on to our worst movies of the year.
Whoa.
We'll do this one really quickly.
Yeah.
Let's run down the line. Mine is Independence Day Resurgence.
Yeah.
What?
Oh,
Perry?
I'll give anyone one guess what my movie is. Independence Day Resurgence. Really quickly, not only is it a really bad movie, but now I can't watch one of my favorite movies of all time the same way without thinking of what happens to the characters that I know and love in this one. Breaks my heart.
At least you didn't watch it as you turned 40.
I
I
know.
turned
I know.
40 as I'm sitting in the theater going, this is how I'm starting off my 40s. Terrible. Just flat, emotionless. it's not. It doesn't have any of the fun of the first film. The first one, the characters are fun, the dialogue's fun, all the there's just nothing fun about it. It was dreary. I just couldn't wait for it to be over. Rocha, I know that's not your
That
worst
is not
movie.
my.
What's your worst movie of the year?
Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice. Absolutely the worst film of the
Now
year.
the
for
chat
me.
room just exploded.
That's fine. You come out to me with pitchforks. I could give a crap. I'm telling you the truth right now.
Can't
This is
defend
what
you,
we're
Rocha.
asked, our personal opinions. Because I loved Man of Steel so much. Because I was in Hall H when they announced Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice with Harry Lennox coming out and doing the voiceover. Because I was so psyched for this movie and walking into it and seeing the phenomenal missteps that they made in this film, from the casting, from the writing, from the story. He's the world's greatest detective. He doesn't know Superman's mom. His name's Martha, but Lex Luthor can find that out. What are you talking about? There's so much wrong in this film that it drives me nuts as a lover of DC. So don't you come after me, because I love DC. As a lover of these characters, a lover of their history, as a collector of the graphic novels, since I was a tyke. I have such a fascination and love of the DC characters. To see them treated in this way, and to see Henry Cavill get marginalized, who I loved in Man of Steel, and yes, I love Man of Steel, to see what they did with this movie just broke my damn heart. And even the extended edition made it even worse for me, because yes, they fleshed out Clark Kent, but then you notice there's an hour of dialogue between any action scenes, and that should not be in a movie that's called Batman vs Superman. So to me, it was just all of it. The Doomsday. Eisenberg's Lex Luthor was just so off base for me. So there was so much about the film that I just did not like, and that's why I didn't. That's why it's the worst film of the year for me, because my expectations were so high. And this is our personal lists, right? So this is my personal feeling that it could have been so amazing, and it wasn't. That's what breaks my heart.
Oh, I haven't heard anyone use the word tyke in a very long time.
Well,
Riley, what's yours?
I remember
I
when I
think
was
yours
telling
also
Webster.
yours is also a bit controversial.
It's gonna maybe explode the chat as well, but it's Suicide Squad.
Yeah, there we go.
Listen, Suicide Squad is something that I was most looking forward to. The performances seemed like they were on point. All the marketing material, everything. I was so excited, and then I saw that movie. The movie's not good, people. It really isn't. And the reason it isn't is because of the committee that cut that movie together. I mean, they missed so many. I wish Air would have just had his movie. I mean, we hear all these rumors that a trailer house came in and recut the movie. We have all these. There are wonderful performances in there. Don't get me wrong. Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. Jared Leto's Joker. These are all wonderful things. Will Smith's Deadshot. He was great. There are so many wonderful performances in there somewhere. But by the time we get to Walk Like an Egyptian happening in front of whatever we're doing, this movie was so off the rails. I'm like, what are you? I put my I couldn't. It makes me angry just talking about it because of the missed opportunities and how reactionary we talk about it all the time. Warner Brothers is so reactionary. And Batman v Superman comes out, and I think they just went all in on Suicide Squad, trying to fix it, where they should have left it alone, because you would have had a better movie. So come on, I just wish it could have been better. Independence Day Resurgence barely made it. I fought.
Stop it.
I fought.
Stop
That
it.
almost.
For me, it was
my
Assassin's
worst.
Creed and Independence Day Resurgence were neck and neck. I think there was a little bit more that I enjoyed in Assassin's Creed than I did.
For me, it's
Independence Day.
always been Resurgence.
Okay.
Now and forever.
Warcraft danced around, but I didn't expect much for Warcraft, so I wasn't disappointed it was bad. But Resurgence, you guys are nuts.
It's not a good movie, dude.
Sinead and Wendy, what was your worst movie of the year?
Wait, that's wait.
Wendy.
Okay, again, didn't see a lot of movies. I couldn't even get through Resurgence. I stopped watching halfway through. So maybe that should be my worst. But a movie I did watch all the way through that was awful was Allegiant. Hated that movie.
Oh,
Yeah, that franchise,
I don't even know why I watched it. I've never seen any of the Divergent movies. Like, I don't
You don't
know
need
why
to.
I even watched it in the first place.
You don't need to watch
You
anything.
could watch the first one.
I think I was just like, all right,
They're
I'm
all
already
boring.
watching this. But it was bad. I was upset that I wasted 2 hours of my life on it.
Wendy?
For me, it was hard to pick between Gods of Egypt, thanks Sinead,
Gods of Egypt.
or Assassin's Creed, and I think Assassin's Creed
Oh,
just
so
out
sad.
just slightly.
All right, thanks. We're gonna we're running low on time. We're gonna skip mailbag. Let's just move into. Let's do 3 Twitter questions. Wendy, what do we got?
I'm back. I don't know if you can see me, but I'm back. You can hear my voice.
It looks like I'm on the camera.
Sinead, just like mouth
throw
the
your
word.
mouth.
There you
Yeah.
go. Give me someone to see.
You just saved the chat room from Rocha. Everybody's now going to focus on that.
All right,
Merry
Christopher-
Christmas
whoa,
indeed.
Whoa,
Hello.
whoa. Little Santa baby there. All right.
Just the Twitter questions,
Here's the
Ronnie.
first Twitter question.
The chat room is blowing up. All right. Christopher Woodburn writes. I just lost the question. I'm distracted. All right, guys, love the
wouldn't be?
show. What comic book film are you most excited for in 2017? For me, it's Guardians Volume 2.
Oh man,
That's a hard
Reilly,
one.
what do you think?
Yeah. God, it's between Guardians Volume 2 and Logan, I would
Yeah.
say. Those are the two that I'm really like. They're neck and neck because you want to see what Mango's going to do with the R-rated Logan, and just that trailer is off the charts. And then James Gunn pulls out the Guardians Volume 2 trailer, and all I have to say is #Baby Groot. So
Yeah.
can't wait.
For me, it's Logan, and then also, we don't have a title yet, but Episode 8 for Star
Oh,
Wars.
yeah,
So those are the two. Logan, the trailer is fantastic.
Yeah.
I've been dying to see a rated R Wolverine movie, and this looks like it might be the one.
I'm really hyped for Homecoming,
Yeah.
but my favorite Marvel movie still to this day is Guardians of the Galaxy, and
Yeah.
I really loved that teaser trailer. They played it again in the glorious prime before we saw Rogue One yesterday, and I can't believe how many times I've watched that teaser trailer and how it's still really funny every single time.
Rocha?
Yeah, Logan, Spider-Man: Homecoming, and Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Those are the 3 that I'm the most excited about. With a little piece of my heart going, please God, let them do Justice League right. There's this little piece of my heart. That's just like,
Yeah.
please God, let them get this right so we can resuscitate, in my opinion, that universe.
All right, 2 more.
Derek Large writes, if they gave out an Oscar for Best Trailer, what would win for 2016?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Right now, all I can think of is probably Logan
Yeah.
trailer.
I know, that's where I go. Logan. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree. Logan's such a good trailer.
Oh, Logan was so good. War for the Planet of the Apes was also really
Yeah,
good. I mean,
yeah.
now obviously I'm just thinking of like the most recent ones, and it's bothering me because I know there's going to be something else out there. But I also do give them, even though it's not artful trailer cutting, I really do give them a lot of credit for what they did with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I also really did love that Power Rangers trailer.
I love the Wonder Woman trailer, the latest
Yeah.
Wonder Woman
Yeah.
trailer. That was, at the time, it got me so hyped because I can't wait for that movie.
All right, last one.
Last one comes from Hans Gustafsson, who writes, who was the best villain of 2016?
Damn, these
These are hard.
These are hard. Like,
Yeah,
thanks,
best
Wendy.
villain.
What, they're wrapping up the year.
Oh, yeah.
we should have stood ahead.
Okay, oh, the Walk Like an Egyptian?
Oh,
That's
yeah,
not the
that
worst
was the
villain.
best one.
That's not worse? Okay.
What was there? Enchantress? For,
Yeah,
Suicide?
Enchantress. Yeah. Oh, God. Where's villain?
I'll give a little shout out to The Blind Men in Don't Breathe
Oh.
because there's a movie that was on that would have we ran out of time. I had a whole list of honorable mentions and
Yeah.
that Don't Breathe was on it, and Don't Breathe is one of the best horror movies of the year. What they did with The Blind Man in terms of Stephen Lang's performance and Fede Alvarez just incorporating the blind man's physique and capabilities and how he moves into the cinematography of that movie made him an exceptional big screen villain.
I'm going to go with, actually, Green Room and Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
He's just a snake. That guy, every time he walks, he slithers on screen and just oozes with, oh, my, I just couldn't stand him. So that I'm going to go with him.
I say Shere Khan from Jungle Book. I
Nice.
thought they did a
Yeah.
great job with that,
Yeah.
and the voiceover done by, was it Idris Elba? No, who did the voiceover?
Yeah,
Was it
yeah.
Idris Elba?
Idris
Was so powerful. When he dials into being a villain, that voice of his is so perfectly suited for it, and I just enjoyed him so much in that movie.
I mean, I'd have to think about it for my true number. The only one that really stands out right now is in Silence. I forgot the character's name, but there's
The
one-
Inquisitor?
Yeah, the Inquisitor, the main
Oh,
villain
yeah.
that is trying to seek out and kill all the Christians in,
That's a
in Japan.
great performance.
Yeah, and he's just, but it's not anything where he's not physically intimidating at all whatsoever. They even make a point of it, showing he's a very frail and weak guy, but he has so much power over everyone.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's it for this episode and the last episode of Movie Talk for 2016. Thanks for joining us today and the whole year. And we'll be back in a week, not this Monday, but the Monday after, January 2nd. Hope you guys have a good time. I want to thank the people joining us at the table today. Perri, where can people find you?
You guys can catch me on Twitter and Instagram at Perri Nemiroff. Collider Nightmares, we're still going on next Wednesday. We have a great episode for you. There's also still Mailbag tomorrow and Best of the Week, a very special Best of the Week, which is actually going to be Best of the Year. So you're going to want to check that out. Happy holidays, everybody. Y'all rock.
And Rocha, we know we're going to find you somewhere later today.
That's right. You're going to find me on the Schmodown Spectacular today. That's right. Look at this. It's right there, the Outlaw. Tonight, today. Watch it. I take on this man for the number one contenders match. This man, Mark Reilly, Superman, Death of Superman, the sequel. He's going down again. And then the top 10 is taking on this joke of a team called the Patriots. JT, Jeff Snyder. I mean, if Snyder's done crying, he can go and compete against JT. Hey, JT, do you remember what a W feels like? How many years has it been? We're coming for you. Don't even waste your time coming for these belts. It's disrespectful that we even have to come out and compete against those fools. But against Reilly, my God, I can't wait. Today. And there's so many other matches, so many great matches. Mark Ellis, Dan Murrell. There's so much going on. The Inner Geekdom Championship. And what's the other match, Reilly?
I don't know.
All right. There we go. Schmodown Spectacular.
Reilly?
Yeah, at Reilly Round on Twitter and Instagram. And yeah, let's just look forward to that Schmodown Spectacular because, yeah, oh, look, I'm seeing it right now. Shut his mouth. That's what it's saying here.
How dare you?
I'm going to do
dare
that.
you.
I'm going to do that. It's going to be a fantastic match. I'm really looking forward to it. And like Rocha said, in a way, he said it. He more screamed it. As the other baby Carrots is taking on Merle to get that belt back. We got the Inner Geek Championship. This is going to be a fantastic match. And then check out Nightmares on Wednesday. We got a special one coming, and I'll be on Sunday's Mailbag as well for a special Christmas-themed episode.
Oh, we have Team Trek versus ETC. That's
Yeah,
the other
that's
match.
right.
Scott Mance.
Wendy, where can people find you?
You can find me. I don't know which one's my camera. Is it this one?
The main, yeah.
All right. You can find me on YouTube at the Movie Couples channel and on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat at Wendy Lee Zaney.
Sinead?
I'm online at Sinead DeVries, and that's Sinead.com. Here, not for the rest of the year. Or is there
mailbag.
Mailbag.
Oh, mailbags. Okay, yeah, then you can find me there. Thanks, guys. Happy holidays.
Yes, Schmodown Spectacular came out later today. It's a 3.5-hour episode. We're going to try and get it up at 2 p.m., but, I mean, a little bit of difficulties on YouTube. But watch out for that. We also have Mailbag still on Saturday and Sunday. And next week, we still have program. We won't have movie talk, but we will have TV talk, Nightmares, Heroes. There's going to be some programming next week. You can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero or on Instagram, Dennis.tzng. I'd like to thank Adam and Cody in the back. And we will see you guys next year.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.